Okay, I'm going to explain you step one and step two. In this case, we have step two. So what is the step two? Is the description of the uh, target language use task. So in this case, we have activities and procedures to be followed, also task characteristics of target language use, listening, target language use task, and finally answer sheet. So yes, the same. In the first one, we have explanations that the teacher is going to present to the student, to his students. Also, students are giving an answer sheet in order to fill in with the correct answer. Also, students listen to a conversation about experiences, and then they will have to answer in the answer sheet. Later, there will be a discussion about the conversation, and finally, teacher and students verify the answers like feedback. And second, we have task characteristics that it consists in setting, input, and expected response. And later we have the dialect itself, and finally answer sheet. The next slide, please. So as you can see, we have three examples. The first example is task characteristics. The second one is a conversation that I choose and an answer sheet. So in the first example, we have setting, input, and expected response. So as you know, physical circumstances is the position or disposition that the teacher and students have within the class. The participants, as you know, eh, it could be the teacher and students.
And
Time
students.
of the task. Well, this task, it could be in the class period. Also, input form, it could be oral and visual. Oral description of the task, pre-recorded or conversations. Also, students with other students about, well, discussion about their answers, and visual questions on paper. Then we have topic content. In this case, it could be um, uh, the best way to take an English exam. In this example, expected responses is oral discussion about answers, visual students written answers to questions, and language, of course, it will be English, and the topic is the same. In conversation, we have two people that are talking about a way to take an English exam, and finally we have the answer sheet. So that's all for my part, and
Great.
Dianita is going to present you the step 3 and the step 4.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thank you
much.
very much, Diego.
Okay, now we are going to start with step number 3, modifying a TUL task to develop an assessment task template. The next,
Great.
please. So, why may we need to modify TUL task? Because the TUL task itself might not be practical to use as it is an assessment task. In some cases, an assessment task requires a lot of time. The TUL task itself cannot be used as is because it doesn't enable us to arrive at assessment records for individual students. We set up an assessment that involves a group work. It's kind of difficult to assess each student individually. It might be necessary to give the assessment task in a secure way because in some cases during an assessment, students tend to copy. So we need to know how much our students have learned during the unit or during the year. The TU task itself cannot be used as is because of the student's prior familiarity with the task topical content.
Familiarity. Yes, familiarity.
So in some cases, the students are more familiar with some topics, so they are going to perform better in the assessment if they are familiar with the content.
Of course, if they know the topic, yes.
The next slide. In this case, now we have step 3A, the modifying the activities and procedures of TU task. Activities and procedures to be followed. A week before the assessment, the teacher tells the students. So in this case, the teacher are going to tell the students that the assessment is going to assess their ability, their listening ability, and also the purpose of the assessment. In this case, the students will listen a conversation between two speakers, and the students will then answer listening comprehension questions. If we show clear instructions, the students are going to perform in a better way during their assessment. The next, please. On the day of the assessment, the teacher are going to give a brief explanation of the listening activity. Students are given an answer sheet with questions. Students listen to a short conversation about free time activities. And finally, students write their answer to questions about their conversation. The next, please. Administrative procedures. The assessment takes place during one class period. The explanation of the assessment is given at the beginning of the class. The assessment is administered to the class as a group with the students working individually. And finally, they listen to the conversation and answer the questions. The next, please. Now we have some task characteristics of the modified task assessment task template. The setting, the physical circumstance. Each students are going to sit individually and the professor is going to be in the front of the class. The participants, the teacher and the students, in this case, they are teenagers and they are in an intermediate level. Time of the task, 20 minutes required. The input, form, oral and visual. And the language, we have the oral, a pre-recorded conversation. And the topical content is free time activities. The expected response, we have form in a visual, language, in this case English, and the topical content, the free time activities. The next, please. So, modified task assessment task template recording method. Recording method for assessment tasks. In this case, the type of the assessment record is going to be a score. In this case, they are going to assess the aspect of ability, the listening comprehension. And the scoring method, it refers the criteria, the score report, and the procedures. The next, please. So now we have the scoring, the answer, the sheet that we are going to give each of our students. And then next we have the instructions and the audio script. So now we have the scoring key. So that's
Scoring
all.
key, great.
That's
Great,
all
thank you.
my part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Janita. No? Great. So I guess with this participation with Anita, I think the group is complete, no? Well, we're only missing this part of Anita, but she had some technical problems, but I think it was okay. It was only the last part that wasn't clear because of the technical problems. Thank you, group 4, for your presentation. Okay, so how about we do group 5 now? Please, group 5, get ready. I understand that you have example number 5.
Yes, Professor. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. Carla
So,
Castillo, Jocelyn. Rachel Lopez. Paulo Campo, great.
so we are example number 5. So we are going to explain all about this.
Great.
First, we have here a brief of this example. That is listening, answering questions about the best moment of life. So here we have the age group that is the level is beginning, the language ESL or EFL, and the language use activity is listening for major ideas, and intended uses is for summative decisions. So here we have the settings. So I am not going to read all the settings.
Great. Yeah, save us all the time. Yeah.
So here we have to develop a classroom assessment for one purpose, that is that to know that the students are going to pass or not, and to make summative decisions. And the task is listen to 4 different speakers talking about the best moment of their lives. So here we have two expected responses. So one is to choose the correct answer, and another is to write the answer in the blanks. So now we are going to start.
Okay, good afternoon, teacher and classmates. I'm going to present assessment use argument. The claim 1, intended consequence. So in this case, the decision to be made, the teacher is going to decide which student is going to pass the grade. So
yes, the level, huh?
the level.
Yes.
And when the decision will be made at the end of the school term, and the stakeholders who will be affected by this decision are the student, teacher, and administrators. So in this case, the intended consequence is that the teacher is going to decide which students are going to pass or not the level.
Yes.
And next, please. So the claim number 3, we have intended interpretation. So in this example number 5, we have that the teacher is going to evaluate the listening skill. So in this case, the students are going to listen a short audio. So they are going to listen or pay attention to major ideas in order to answer short questions. And the claim 4, we have assessment records, and the score from the assessment from the listening assessment are consistent across, different times, different days of the week, and this assessment record are going to be in different groups of students. Next, please.
So now I am going to explain about some steps to the assessment task development. So first we have the target language use task selected for develop the the language ability. So in this case,
Language ability.
in the claim 3, you identified it, so it is listening. So now you have to make a short descriptive label. In this case, listening for speakers and answering questions about the best moment in their lives.
In their
So
lives.
here we have their lives, sorry. So here we have the area of language engaged. In this case is comprehension of major ideas. It means comprehend the main ideas in order to answer some questions.
Yes.
So here we have the step 2. That is the description of the TLU task. So here we have some. We are going to follow a process, and the first is the teacher explains the activity, and then the students listen for speakers, and a table with the speaker's name is provided. The students write the short answers, and they are going to discuss with a partner if the answers are correct or not, and then the teacher correct their answers and provide feedback, and at the end the teacher returns the assessment task to the students.
To the students, yeah.
So here we have the characteristics of the TLU test. First, the task is they have to listen and write. So writing short answers. So their areas of language. So here we have the comprehension in the listening. So here we have some characteristics. The physical circumstances. In this case, the teacher is in front, and the teacher is going to explain to the students as a group, but the students are going to work individually. And also we have the materials, in this case, the audios, the answer sheets, and also you need to take into account the equipment, for instance, the digital player, the CD player, or if you are going to use your cell phone or your computer, you need to take into account in the materials. Also, we have the participants, so here we need to put who will engage in the task. So here we have the teacher and the students. The time task is during the class, 15 to 10 minutes. So here we have the input. It refers to any material. So here we have the foreigners. So the oral, how you know the oral, it means that it has the sense of hearing. It could be a spoken language or not spoken language. It means sounds. In this case, we have the teacher giving a description of the task, and the student listening to him or her. Also, we have the pre-recorded audios, and here we have the visual, that is the questions in our tables. Here we have the language. So here we need to put the language that we are going to use. That in this case is the target language, that it is English. But sometimes the teacher can use the native language. I think that, for example, that you can use the native language. For example, if you have in a school, if you have a reading, and they don't understand the whole reading, you can use the native language in order to help them to understand the reading. But in this case, you are going to use the target language, that is English. So here we put the simple grammar and vocabulary, because you also need to explain the level of vocabulary of grammar that you're going to use according to the level of your students. So also we have the topic content, sorry, is what the input is about. So in this case, we have the topic is clothes. Also, we have the expected response. Why we expected response? Because how we know our students are not going to respond in the same that we expect.
Same way
So
we
we need
expect.
to take into account the same way that we expect. So in this case, so we are expected to respond. It refers that what we want to get from our students. So in this case, we have form. The oral is discussions about the answers, because they are going to talk with their partners if the answer is correct or not. So visual, in this case, we have the answers in the sheet, and also the line that they are short words and phrases that the students use during the task. So here we have an example of the listening, the script in the listening
The
tab.
script, yeah.
So here we have the clouds and the speaker from 1 to 4. And here we have an example of the answer sheet. For instance, what do you think of the clothing is each speaker talking about? So the students has to answer in the blanks. So here we have the different questions. As I said,
Great.
the student has questions in a table. So here we have the example of this answer sheet. So they have to answer with some simple vocabulary or grammar, as I said before. In this case, she thinks they are called they don't have to put all the information, that just the main ideas.
Yes.
So here we have the step 3, that's the modify task, assessment task template. As my classmate Dianita said before, we need to modify tasks for some circumstance. For instance, if it is not practical, and also if the students are going to cheat, we also need to take into account the level of students and the familiarity.
Familiarity, yes. Familiarity.
Some students are familiar with that task, and others are not familiar. So we need to take into account that. So for that reasons, we follow this step. So here we have to follow some activities and procedures. A week before, on the day of the assessment and during the assessment. So here we have a week before. So first the teacher told the students, okay guys, you're going to have a listening assessment the following week. So you need to say the students that they are going to be assessed.
Of course, yeah.
So here, for one purpose, this is the teacher gives each student a mark that is going to come as a part of the grade in order to pass the level. So here, students listen to 1 minute audio and choose the information. So the teacher, a week before, said what the assessment is going to be about. And on the day of the assessment, so the teacher, the student listened for different speakers. The students are given a table with the speaker's name. The students write short answers in the blanks, as you saw before in this example. And here we have the administrative procedures. So the assessment takes place during one class period. The teacher explains the assessment at the beginning. You always have to explain the assessment at the beginning.
Yeah.
Students are given an answer sheet and 3 minutes to answer. Then they are going to listen again. It is a listening assessment, so they maybe are going to listen twice.
Twice.
If they are a child, or I don't know if they can listen 3 times, maybe, but it is not, well, only it is necessary. But they also are going to have time in order to check if their answers are correct or not. So you also need to provide them with that time to check their answers.
To check the answers, yes, extra time, yes.
And now we have the task template.
Okay, I'm Paula Ocampo. I'm going to explain the task template.
Thank you.
As my classmate said before, we have in the task template some activities. In this case, the setting for this activity, the teacher in front of the classroom are seated individually. In the equipment, we have answer sheet with table for answers. Also, we have some materials such as pen, pencil, audio, playback, equipment, such as a computer, digital player, CD player, and something like that. In the input, we have form. In this case, oral.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Pauli. Is it my internet or something happened?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you now.
I begin again.
Yeah, please, just the last part.
Input. For input, we have form. In this case, oral. Teacher describe the task, pre-recorded interviews, and for visual, we have table with questions. The language is obvious English, and teacher has short utterances, which describing and explaining simple grammar and vocabulary. For the length, could be long for spoken interviews. So for the topical content is talking about neighborhoods. And for expected response is the one option, selective response, as we said before. Inform which visual students mark the correct answers for each of the 4 speakers in the table. The language is the same. Topical content, talking about the neighborhoods, is the same topic. In the expected response option 2, in this case is limit reproduction response. So form, visual, students write short answers to the questions in the table. The language is obvious English, and the topical context is the same, talking about neighborhoods.
Okay, I am Raquel Lopez. I'm going to talk about step 4, model assessment task. Instruction for the assessment task. Students are given an answer sheet with a table to write their answers. Teacher's description of the task. Read to the interview of the people, then look at the information about each person on the answer sheet. Choose the correct information according to the interviews and mark the box with matching information for each person. Next, please. Okay, in this case, it's a listen activity. I'm going to read and I need to help the help of Carolina, maybe.
Great, Caro.
Okay, I'm going to read the interview, Mark's interview, okay? And you are going to listen to me.
Okay.
Okay, interviewer says, what's the best moment of your life so far? Mark, that's easy. It was when my daughter was born 3 years ago. Those little fingers and toes. She was the most beautiful thing in the world. I took about 1,000 photos of her in that first week. Now, my wife and I take turns to stay at home and take care of her during the day. She's growing up fast and she's more fun now, but those first moments with her were amazing. The next, please. The next slide, please. Okay, Carito, por favor. Please. What was the best moment of Mark's life?
The second one.
Okay. And why was this the best moment of Mark's life?
Why was the best one? Let me see. Felt excited.
Yes, a good job. Previous one, Carlita. Okay, now Diego, please. Okay.
Hello. What happened?
Okay. Okay, Diego. Okay, listen to me. Interviewer, what's the best moment of your life so far? Danny, it was when I passed my driving test last summer. When I took the test the first time, I didn't pass. I was really sad, but the second time I passed, it was a fantastic feeling. Finally, I could drive without my mom in the car. I was free. The next slide, please. Okay, Diego. What was the best moment of Jenny's life?
Could you put the previous slide, please? Yeah, thank you. Jenny, what was the best moment of his or her life? Number 4, when she passed driving test.
Yes. And why was this the best moment of his or of Jenny's life?
Because she felt excited.
Yes, okay. The next slide, please. Okay, this is an answer table. Well, you did a good job. Your answers are correct. The next slide, please. Okay, this is a grading table. If you have all the correct answers, you have 8 points because each answer is 1 point. And that's all.
Great, very good. Great. So with this, your presentation is complete, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I have Carlita, Jocelyn, Rachel, and Paula Ocampo, right? Those are your names.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Excellent job. Group 5. Thank you very much. So now we're going to see group number 6, please. But Abby, how much time do we have? Or Hugo, how much time do we have?
We have
time?
2 minutes, so I think it's
2 minutes. So I think we would better close this session, wait a few minutes, and then let us know when we can start the next session.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.